Hi, Aries Sun and Rising. Welcome to your August 2024 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, the Sun is in a fellow fire sign, and not only is that passionate for everyone, but for your sign and for someone like me as a Sagittarian, um, Leo trines us. What that means is if you have any planets, well, in your case, it's going to be either the sun or the ascendant, or some Aries people might have both in Aries. That you are going to have this friendly angle that is very cooperative to manifest things that you want during this period of time. The whole month is going to see Mars in Gemini. And for you, it's in the house that it rules, the third house. So it is very aggressive with speech. It might be argumentative. For some people, it might be that you're on a mission when it comes to trying to set up a website, trying to finish some project, or even initiate. Mars can be the energy of just pouring a lot of energy into something. And this is the first time that Mars will have been in Gemini since the long stay in Gemini from August of 2022 until March of 2023. So we're talking about a 7-month period. And now we're looking at 2024, approximately a year and a half later. Mars has not been in this sector. So it is something where you might be working on a project that involves communication, or actively pursuing some sort of certification course, something where you can get credentials. This can also be where someone is, because it can be conflict with siblings, other extended family members like aunts, uncles, or cousins, or neighbors can be the third house. But it's important to note that it doesn't necessarily have to be conflict. It can simply be increased activity, like you're spending more time with these people, or maybe you have like a joint project that you're doing with them. So that's a significant thing about Mars. And actually, if you're listening in July, this is happening beginning on July 20th. So on the 4th of the month, Venus goes into Virgo. And this is the 6th house of health and your work, your daily routine. Venus here can be getting a raise, and any kind of negotiation, actually. I mean, with Mars in this house of communication, it might be quite heated. But the other thing, too, is that the 6th house can be the workplace. So Venus can be love, and it just so happens that on the very same day of April of August 4th, there's a new moon at 12 degrees of Leo, and that is in your 5th house of love and creativity. So it makes me think that that might be the case for some people, is that love walks into the workplace, or maybe it's somebody that you have been working with and it just kind of blossoms, so to speak. There can be harmony in the workplace, especially if there was something that was less than such, and even making friends with a coworker, or socializing with them. As a matter of fact, if you have this in your natal chart, this will be a tendency where your coworkers are like your friends, like you socialize off hours. I remember one time, I don't have this I don't have this placement. That's why I was kind of like a little bit like not feeling it because I was interviewing for a job, and it was like at an insurance agency or something like that. And they said, oh, we're all like friends and we just party together like off hours. And I was in my 20s then, and I was just like, even then I knew I wasn't that type of person. But you might be, and this might be one of those scenarios where you're able to do that. And so then on the 5th, we have Mercury going back into Virgo. So it goes from the 4th to the 3rd house. Oh yeah, that's another thing that I think is really important to note is that, well, actually, I guess it begins retrograding on the 5th, and it's in that 6th house, but it does go back on the 14th of the month to the 5th house. So when we're talking about this kind of what's the opposite of a progression? Regression? I don't know if you'd say it like that. But we're looking at work versus the 5th house, which can be a business that you own. And sometimes, if somebody is working outside of the home, they might question whether or not it's worth it or if it's even a good fit for them. So there could be something along those lines. But also because there is something going on with the 5th house as well. That's where the new moon is. That could be, if there's anything romantic, it could be like, oh, is this really a good idea? The 5th house is a house of pleasure. It's a house of fun. So the fact that you're having a new moon there in Leo on the 4th, and the Mercury retrograde is actually, in the 5th house, and the Mercury retrograde begins in the 6th house. It's almost like tempted to kind of like, do I really want to work right now? Or should I just enjoy myself? Because, it's Leo season. So for Aries, this is a really great area, that 5th house. And there might be something new that is at the time of the new moon in that 5th house that is maybe even like a passion project that really is taking a lot of your energy or your concentration, and doing something more what we'd call mundane or just kind of office work doesn't feel as appealing. And especially to an Aries, that would certainly be the case. On the 19th, we have a full moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius. This will fall in your 11th house. And this could be good for finances because the 11th house is a house of gains. And that can indicate some kind of increase in your profits, or if you're getting some sort of raise. That might be another example, because I think I just mentioned, Venus in the 6th house could be a raise as well. So that might just be kind of confirming that. By the way, I was going to say that it's rush hour. It's only after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but my street is pretty quiet. But I notice around the late afternoon, it starts to get pretty noisy from cars going by. So I apologize. It's just a hot day and I'm keeping the windows open. So this can also have to do with friendships. And this may be something that will be a theme for you in the next 20 years, actually, because Pluto is in Aquarius now. It is retrograding. It is going to go back to a late degree of Capricorn next month for a couple of months, but then it will be in Aquarius for good in this 11th house, which is the house of hopes and wishes, as well as the house of your social contacts, your friends, your groups, the people that you connect with socially. And Pluto can be, well, let me just say about this full moon is that you may see things in a different light with someone or some people, or just letting go of something along these lines. Sometimes people decide to part ways with an organization that they belong to because they no longer share those values. Come to think of it, I have seen it said that the third house can be your companions. And I'll have to double check on that because I really always associate friends with the 11th house, but I've seen something along those lines. And Mars is in that third house. So there might be some kind of conflict with people that you normally associate with, and you kind of are done with it. Pluto being in this area, and you had Saturn here for a few years up until 2023, that was also paring down the people that are in your life socially. So this can be more of the same, letting go of something, but it can also be maybe even becoming more seen among people in a group setting. Usually Aries people have no trouble making themselves seen, though, but maybe you have some kind of long-range goal that comes to fruition. That's a possibility. This will be at 27 degrees of Aquarius, so it's a late degree. So yeah, it might be possible that it's something that has been, something you have wanted all along. On the 22nd, the sun goes into Virgo. That's more of that down to brass tacks kind of a vibe that your sun, the sun is influencing you with. And so you become an honorary Virgo for a month, basically, during this time. And you may find every year that around the 22nd of August that you become more concerned about working, less about playing, because you're going from the 5th to the 6th house. Now, that will depend on your individual chart. Obviously, this is like just a general reading. On the 28th, Mercury goes direct at 21 degrees of Leo. So anything that you have been trying to sort out, maybe about trying to, in some cases, it might even be trying to figure out how to work a passion project. And basically, what I mean by a passion project, it could even be like a business that you're creating, but a novel that you're writing, whatever it is that you're doing, that how do I fit this into my daily schedule if you're working a day job, for instance, because the 6th house can be how you organize your time on a daily basis. But it's not always easy to do that if you have a lot of things going on, which Aries people tend to have. So this can all get resolved. And if this has anything to do with a love interest, that could happen as well. And on the 29th, Venus goes into Libra. This is your 7th house of committed partnership, your opposite sign. So suffice it to say, Venus being harmony in the 7th house can restore that. Who knows? Maybe some Aries people have been separated and they've been or having some kind of dalliance with a love interest, and that is something that I wouldn't normally accuse Aries people of like cheating or anything, because even though Aries to me is one of the lustiest signs, I do believe that Aries people by and large tend to be very straightforward. So it really isn't in Aries nature to kind of like be deceptive. And I'm just talking about that archetype of what Aries stands for. I'm not saying this is going to be true across the board, but more of a thing where if you have had a partner that you haven't felt compatible with, and maybe you have separated or you moved out, whatever situation you had before, by this other party, this third party coming in, it may have actually made you appreciate that partner that you had. Maybe you were too demanding or expecting certain things that were a little bit unreasonable. Or maybe the other person, maybe both of you have kind of not been very appreciative of one another. So Venus in the 7th house can definitely be love with a committed partner, and just this attitude of seeing love from that. Venus rules the 7th house. So, and this is your opposite sign, Aries. So it really is about appreciating partnership and taking pleasure in partnership. Aries is this, the house that you rule. This is the difference between you and your opposite sign, is that you rule the first house of the self. So you are very self-oriented. You might get accused of being self-absorbed. All of us fire signs are probably regarded that way. And there's some truth to that. But it doesn't mean that we're narcissistic. It simply means that we're very self-oriented. We really uphold the idea of the individual. And as a result, other people who are more what we would call communal, they're more, or maybe they don't really have a sense of themselves. They can look at that as arrogance. And that's actually a misunderstanding of what the energy is about, but it can be sometimes, it can veer into arrogance when we get a little bit cocky, right? So anyway, this can be good for harmonizing relationships. If you are interested in maybe getting married or the equivalent of marriage, this might be the time that you make those plans or get down on bended knee, what have you, for that. Now Mercury is direct, so you're not proposing under Mercury retrograde, so that's good. Okay, well, that's what I have for you, Aries. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, I'm promoting my double readings called my deep dive readings because they are a special value compared to purchasing them individually, and they go together. An hour of natal chart analysis, an hour of transits for the next 12 months for a special price. And if you like the tarot as well, there's one with that reading included called the whole enchilada. I also have life path career readings, love readings, and reading your child's natal chart. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for listening. Bye.